Well, I'm fighting the final boss of my allergies today. I don't get what's going on as we approach winter, actually, in Minnesota. It's just possibly gotten worse. I wanted today to talk about video games. What's new, right? Of course. Something we talk about a lot on this channel. And the specific thing I wanted to talk about is a marketing strategy that has been used forever. It has been used forever, but I believe it's become much more prevalent and much more almost diabolical and intentional in gaming in the last decade, and that's the fear of missing out. I know some people call it FOMO for short, to try and shorten it up and make it, roll off the tongue a little bit, but essentially what this is, in layman's terms, is the idea that you should be on board right now. You should be enjoying this thing right now. Your friends are, everybody else is. They're all enjoying the thing and they're going to move on from it, and you won't have had the experience or the memory or the whatever with the game. And this is something that originally was just a multiplayer thing. I think it's still mainly seen in multiplayer, but it's even crossed over to single player types of games. It's something that frustrates me quite a bit because every single game now seems to have seasonal content, or it seems to have something where if you don't log in at this time, you don't get this reward, or if you don't play this much before this date, you don't have the chance of unlocking this thing. I know sports games like NBA 2K are very notorious for this, but there's a lot of other games that have it too. For example, games like Call of Duty, games like Fallout 76. I would even argue games that are more geared towards single player sometimes have this, like Hitman's limited contracts, where it was like, hey, listen, you should log in here, go after this contract here, otherwise they'll be gone. That kind of stuff, it really, really irks me because for me, I do enjoy some games that have seasonal stuff. I play Fortnite casually, I play NBA 2K casually, but it really feels like these games are designed to just be the only thing you play now, and they never were in the past. And this is something that's even prevalent in game series that never had them before, never had these elements of always you need to be online, or you need to log in, or you need to do X, Y, and Z before this date, or at this time, or otherwise you won't be able to get this thing again. I think the seasonal passes and battle passes are the biggest example of this. I understand the point of them is to incentivize you to play and actually earn stuff. Really, the reason for that is because it makes the numbers look good, it keeps player bases up, it keeps the game alive, and then, of course, people are willing to spend more money, right? At the end of the day, that's what this is all about, is money. It's not about the gamer experience, it's not about how good it makes the game, it's about money. Even when you look at something like Fortnite, which I think is one of the examples of doing the seasonal pass system the best, actually, because it's very affordable. You can actually earn enough to get the next battle pass basically throughout the course of, buying your first one or whatever. Like, it's not actually that difficult to get and to level up in. That's an example of a pretty well done battle pass, right? It's not really that greedy, it's not that cancerous to the game, but still, it has problems. It has problems like if you don't log in Season 4 or whatever, Chapter 2, Season 5, Chapter 3, etc. If you don't log in these seasons and get this stuff, that item is just gone forever. They don't make it available on the item shop. They don't make it available for you to buy. Nothing like that. It's just gone. It's the fear of missing out. It's knowing, hey, I played this game earlier, so I have stuff you don't. If people hop on Fortnite for the first time right now, despite being a good example of a seasonal content pass, there is content they will never get as long as the game is alive. They will never get it. Now, maybe if they worked at Epic, they could. I'm sure that they have some way to reward themselves with the base existing skins and stuff in original battle passes, but a good example of this is Lara Croft. The Tomb Raider skin is a skin that I have in this game because it was a season I started on. I believe it was the Primal season. If you started now, you would never get this Tomb Raider skin. You'd never get this look, even if they bring back Lara Croft, because it was only available exclusively in that battle pass and never again, right? This is sort of like limited edition collectibles, but I think it's even more notorious than that. Because even though you can control the market with limited edition collectibles, even though you can say, well, listen, I only made 500 of this Funko Pop. Hey, listen, I only made 1,000 of these statues. Even though you can do that and prices can get exorbitantly high later on, it's still physically acquirable through secondhand channels because you can say, hey, you know what? This character means a lot to me. I'm fine paying $300 for a statue of this on eBay if you want to. It's your money. You can do what you want, right? The problem with video games is that it doesn't work that way. It still uses the fear of missing out and the artificial scarcity tactic of we can control how many we make in order to drive engagement, drive sales, and get you on board. But there is no secondhand market. There's no way to get it later in most instances. Now, in some there is. Games like Fallout 76 do sometimes make rewards from previous seasons available in the item shop. It's actually one of the rare examples of doing that. However, again, it's not even a secondhand market. It's just a way for the firsthand market to bring something back to make more money off of you because of FOMO. Except it's realized FOMO because you actually feel like you missed out on an item you want. Now, there's another example of this that I actually mostly like, believe it or not, which is Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Now, this game, or series of games, I should say, was absolutely butchered at launch. It was a bad launch. So glitchy, terrible UI, all kinds of problems. It's actually one of the few examples of a game that became really dang good over time, and I'm shocked that they stuck with it to make it good. But when it comes down to it, I think one of the best things that Halo, the Master Chief Collection does is makes it so that you can go back to previous seasons and unlock whatever you want. You actually earn unlock tokens as you play the game, and then you can go back to previous seasons in the battle passes and get those things. On top of that, you never had to pay for the battle passes. It was just included with the Master Chief Collection when it was patched in eventually. So if you want to go back, get stuff from Halo Reach, you want to go back, get stuff for Halo 3, etc., you can do that. I still think, though, that this is a problem with gaming because even in that case where I think it's the best realized possible thing, right? The best realized version of it, probably the least greedy because they're not even charging you for it. They're just trying to incentivize you to keep playing Halo. I do believe, though, that when it comes down to it, the model itself is based inherently in greed, because then you look at a game like Halo Infinite, where almost everything feels monetized, or even a game like Halo 5, where it felt like they were constantly trying to get you to get these card reward packs to use them in different modes. You look at these things, and it's always a stepping stone. Call of Duty, again, another example of this. You start out buying maps, buying map packs, buying even Spec Ops missions. There was even single-player content that you would buy, like Spec Ops missions in some of the games like Modern Warfare 3 that would be included, or Zombies maps are still a thing. But one thing they don't tell you with a lot of this content is that it always gets more and more greedy down the line. You start out with map packs. Then over time, it goes to a few skins here and there in things like Call of Duty Ghosts. But it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not really affecting gameplay. Then, of course, you cross over into the modern generation of Call of Duty, and it gets into things like buying weapons, buying loadouts that actually do affect balancing, whether people want to say that or not, because they do have different stats and pre-attached attachments on the guns that affect the stats of the gun. And the time to kill is actually different with a gun that you buy in the store in a pack in, say, Modern Warfare or Black Ops Cold War than it is in a base gun in the game, because it comes with all these attachments and different little effects and stuff that are already on the gun from the get-go. You could start at level 1 and just buy that, and you are at an inherent advantage compared to someone else who's at level 1 who doesn't buy that. Now, there are arguments to be made that later on, as you unlock everything and take your time and grind through the game, that you would no longer be at that advantage because somebody played enough to get to where you are, put all those attachments on their gun anyway, just wouldn't have the fancy skin, right? But the problem is that you're paying to get ahead, whether people want to admit that or not. And what frustrates me about all of this is that it's built on a lie. It's built on selling you an experience or a memory or a everlasting thing, when even we're not, we're not, man, this is going to get a little philosophical here. I don't mean to go down this road, but human beings, right? One life, we live on this earth, and regardless of what you think after that, those are your beliefs and I respect them. But regardless of what you think after that, you have a limited amount of time to enjoy things, to make meaningful memories, to enjoy your life, to get out, to do things, to meet people, to form relationships and friendships and have fun. And that includes with video games. It absolutely does. Those are a very entertaining, fun thing to do that I think, like anything, as long as you are not obsessing over and making only your entire life and personality, are extremely healthy and a great activity to do. I love them to death. Adore them. But when it comes down to it, they're selling you on the lie that these are eternal and everlasting memories that are always going to be with you. That somehow the gun that you buy in the store in Modern Warfare is going to be this great thing that really enhances your experience, and once you have it, right? The problem is that often that is never the case because these things are eventually taken away from you before even we leave this earth, because they're all on a timer. The earlier you buy them, the longer you have them, but they all run on the assumption that the game is still up, that the game is still running, that the game is still functioning online on multiplayer. We saw this actually recently with the Assassin's Creed games, where anything you bought, for the most part in the multiplayers, is now defunct and doesn't matter because those multiplayers are shut down until someone reverse engineers servers for them on PC, etc., and gets them up and running again, of course. But in terms of an official capacity, it's dead. Character packs you bought, things like that, gone. Maybe they enhanced the game at the time, maybe they made it more fun at the time, but now all they are is money in the pocket of a company and nothing on a hard drive that you own that's accessible. That's something that I find extremely ridiculous about modern gaming, is that there's so much focus on online, so much focus on fear of missing out, so much focus on all these things, and so much reward for them. There's always rewards for making your game like this because people spend money, and enough people spend enough money that even those of us who don't want to spend much or any, right? Maybe you limit it, maybe you buy a thing here or there and enjoy it, but you move on, maybe a little bit of a disposable income on something, or maybe you just don't buy any microtransactions ever. Either way, once it gets down to it, the problem is that you are sold on a lie because those things go away. And I also believe that some content creators sell you on a lie with this as well, which this is probably a totally separate video and something that could be its own thing. But I truly believe there are a lot of content creators on the platform and on every platform, we got the world's largest lawnmower outside, who actually believe that they can get you to buy things because it benefits them. Now, what do you mean, Jay? Well, first off, I will say whenever there's a sponsorship and any of us try and tell you, hey, listen, download this thing, it helps us out, blah, 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 there's a very transparent understanding that, hey, listen, I'm being a bit of a car salesman right now for something, of course, because it helps me have my livelihood and continue to make my stuff. And I appreciate you guys, checking that thing out. And if you don't, you don't. And if you do, that's awesome. I appreciate it. And that's kind of where it should stop, right? Just there. But I think a big problem is that a lot of fantasies are sold on the internet with fear of missing out from content creators too, where you'll see people open thousands of dollars of packs in NBA or Overwatch crates or things like this, and you'll think, well, if I do that too, I'll be happy. But it's not really the case, because a lot of times what's happening is that people, like content creators, when I buy something for the use specifically of my business, which is this channel, I actually have several subsidiary channels to this one, under this one as well. But when I buy something specifically for use on my business, in America at the very least, and I believe the European Union, though I don't know to what extent, maybe other places too, that can count as a business expense. So when you have people who their whole career is buying NBA packs and playing NBA, and they're buying $10,000 of NBA packs over the course of a season, those people are getting a lot of that money back in tax credits and tax write-offs, which is something that I think a lot of people don't know in the online community when they watch. Now, this doesn't mean that everybody who does this is some kind of shill or that they're forcing you at gunpoint to buy the thing, but I think a lot of the time that's not made very transparent. It's not made very clear. And so because of that, there's almost an entertainment fantasy being sold of, look how happy I am because I bought all this stuff. You'll be happy too. But then you don't realize that that person's also getting multiple things back out of it. It's something I've tried to be as transparent as I can be on anything that I buy or do for the channel, is that, listen, there's always the chance of I could get some tax credit back for something I buy that I don't enjoy, but that is done specifically for my business, things like that. Normal people who don't do this kind of business, they don't have that. And so I think when you have the combined efforts and almost organizational thought process of these companies, combined with online entertainment, combined with just the human need to want to be happy and feel fulfilled, FOMO is something that can be extremely predatory and really, really hurt people who have addictive personalities, people like me, where gambling addictions, alcohol addictions, all kinds of things, mental health, depression, suicide attempts, all of these things run in the backgrounds of my families, right? Both sides. So people like me are extremely vulnerable to things like this because we always think this dopamine fix, this will make us happy. We won't miss out. We'll have this memory. It'll stick with us. But I'm sure there's dozens of things that I bought over the course of games' lifetimes that I don't care about anymore, that I never got any tax credit for, never got anything for because it was before I did YouTube, that just don't matter anymore and are now money in the pocket of some game developing company, and I don't have it. And I have no money and no thing to show for it. And it's something that frustrates me because there is an understanding with food, there is an understanding with drink, there is an understanding with medical that these are consumables, things that you use. They're a 1, 2, 3 time use. They wear out. You eat them, you poop them out, whatever, right? I know I don't eat bandages, but I was talking about the food. And then it's gone. But I don't think that understanding is very clear with FOMO and with digital marketplace items. I believe that it's almost sold more as an eternal thing, but it's not something you get to keep forever or enjoy forever or even understand what other people are getting out of it. It's a fantasy being sold to us that is ultimately beneficial only to those at the top selling the product. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. It's kind of more of a stream of consciousness video I wanted to make, something I wanted to talk about that I hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. I do appreciate you being here, and I wanted to say a thank you to some, by the way, speaking of money, some of my patrons who really help us out on this channel because it means a lot to us, such as Sean, Jonah, Dravaris, Vince, Colin, Nicholas, Jason, and Joypad Jake. I love your name, Joypad Jake. That's awesome. I appreciate all you guys very, very much. I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shui.